2025 Vuelta España, stage 15, Monforte de Lemos. Mads Pedersen finally pulled it off, but it took some craft work to get where he was in that escape, from the escape, and to pull off the sprint after controlling all the other attacks, including from Magnus Sheffield, Egan Bernal, and taking the stage win in the green jersey, his first of the 2025 Vuelta España, and adding to his points lead. Well, the stage took place here in Galicia. It started just over the border, just at the border in Asturias. That's where I spent my night. No, not drinking cider, going to bed early, but there was a fiesta in town, going to bed early to do a run this morning, and it sucked, to be frank. I was tired, but if you want to check it out on my Strava, please check it out. I got in the miles, let's say, then headed to the start. The race starts and quickly over the border in this far northwest region, Galicia. Only one rider in the Vuelta España peloton is from this region, Canal from Movistar. And yes, he made the escape, along with a couple of other Movistar riders. And this escape included 45 riders, big instigators, Kwiatkowski, Jay Vine in the polka dot jersey. Yes, UAE, after 7 victories so far, was out for an 8th victory, so it seemed today. Other riders from Movistar, we mentioned the team Movistar, Aular, a fast rider, and Romo, we'll get to him later. Some controversy there. In that move, well, we had everyone from Mads Pedersen to Jay Vine to Magnus Sheffield to Sean Quinn to Kevin Vermarke to Lars Kraps. It was a power move, 45 riders that started off as 2 big groups, but after that first categorized climb, we had a Cat 1 climb and then a Cat 2 climb. Those groups came together, and then we had that massive group on the, if you turn on your television, it looked like just a peloton in itself, and that's kind of how this race would play out. Over that top of the second Cat climb, the Cat 2 climb, well, that's where Vine went away to get some more points to add to his points jersey for the mountains. Now, we thought at that point he was just going up the road to get the points, and joined by Vervaeke, and that's what the group thought as well, the Mads Pedersen group. Well, they weren't seen again for like forever, until I think around 8 kilometers to go. You hear the buses right now, they're pulling out. Bus parking lot over here, this stage. Let's just reflect for a moment, because it was back here, I think back in 2020 or 2021, Magnus Cort won the race for EF Education. It was shout out to Lawson Craddock, Texas boy, who did all the hard work to make sure Cort could pull that off. And it was American on American action, because it was also Quinn in there, Quinn Simmons, I think in his first Grand Tour here at the Vuelta España, hitting out, trying to win the stage, but Craddock wouldn't have any of it, setting things up for Cort to win the stage. Now back to today. They thought those guys were just going up the road for the mountains points. They were in for a surprise, because even with Lidl Trek pulling on the front, and again, if you tuned in, this looked like the peloton controlling the escape, but it was the escape, the big escape, controlling the smaller escape up the road. The peloton, hell, like 30 minutes back. Lidl Trek controlling this, and it's like 2.5 minutes or so, and I heard from the riders afterwards, spoke to Vermarke, spoke to Sean Quinn, Eddie Dunbar, just how hard that was to control those guys, to possibly get them back. And yes, they thought at one point Vine or perhaps Vervaeke could be going for the stage victory, and if Vine pulled it off, that'd be the 8th of this 2025 Vuelta España. Well, they were brought back shortly after the intermediate sprint, which is about 2/3, 4/5. I'm not a mathematician, though I got a degree in mathematics and science. Yeah, it's true. And I'm doing this job now. I get mathematics and science. But anyways, about 4/5 into the stage, you got that intermediate sprint, 2 men up the road. Mads Pedersen did get 3rd on that sprint to pick up more points in his green jersey competition. Then, as it often does, after the intermediate sprint, it kind of all goes bananas from there. But let's back it up right before that intermediate sprint. Remember I said we talk about Romo. There was a scary moment, because in that small peloton group of around, probably had 40 riders in there, 45 or so, 44 with the 2 up front. All of a sudden, we see on camera a fan, it looked like, was running down to get a close look of the group as it went by on the left side of the road, tripped in the ditch and fell down. Luckily, he didn't fall into the peloton, but in the peloton, there was kind of some nervousness, and they were seeing that fan coming towards the group, and they were starting to shift, and Romo and I think it was Max Shatman touched wheels, and both of those riders came down. Romo looked the worst off with scratches and scrapes all down. I think it was his right side, but you have to look at the footage as we're replaying that. scraped up pretty badly. Well, rewatching it, it was a protester with the Palestine flag coming down and was heading right for the peloton. Thankfully, he did trip, so he didn't go into this peloton, the big escape, and collide into them to cause the whole dang thing to go down. And at the same point, a police officer was so fast. Did you notice how fast that was? Because he ran over towards the protester from the other side of the road, crossing in front of the group to go towards the protester who had fallen down. Luckily, the police officer didn't run into the group itself, but craziness out there on the road. Let's hope this all settles down. And thankfully, everyone's safe. Let's hope Romo gets some recovery and rest tonight and is back in the action as it proceeds to stage 16. So after that intermediate sprint, we're back there. It starts to break apart. Pedersen makes it. Key, 2 riders from Ineos, American Magnus Sheffield and Egan Bernal. Also in there, Aular, Eddie Dunbar, some key hitters in there, along with Buitrago and Marco Frigo. We thought that was Jake the Snake, Jake Stewart, but it was Marco Frigo, and had it been Jake Stewart, well, along with Aular, Mads Pedersen would have had another sprinter to look out for. As it was, Mads Pedersen had to cover all these moves to give himself the opportunity, because he was the fastest rider in that group, to go for the sprint. He did it. He controlled it perfectly. And Bernal was attacking, Sheffield was attacking, and unfortunately Sheffield, who looked like he was ready to launch a move to catch Pedersen off guard, crashed in one of these final bends where we saw more protesters, and the security had double barricaded things, so we didn't have an incident like we had in the Bilbao stage. Sheffield comes down. Unfortunately, we see Sheffield crash a lot. At this point, it's a clear line. Looks like a clear, straight shot to the line for Pedersen. We're seeing right now on the screen the results of the sprint there and out of those placings, but it's Pedersen on top to get more points in his green jersey competition and to get an important stage win that he's been fighting for, just coming up in short, albeit if it was against David Gaudu or if it was against Jasper Philipsen. This time, Pedersen does the deed. He pulls it off way back, like 14 minutes back. The peloton comes in. I did get a moment to catch up. I tried to get Romo, but they said he wasn't speaking. They didn't want him to speak about the incident. We got Sean Quinn. We got Vervaeke. We spoke to Eddie Dunbar on the line. I spoke to Ciccone. We got all the reactions about the incident with Romo and about how it played out and about how those guys might have even thought that Jay Vine was going to go for stage victory. Ending stage 15 of the 2025 Vuelta España, going into the second of 2 rest days in this Grand Tour. Well, it's 2-time Tour de France winner Jonas Vingegaard still on top after magnificent control from his Visa Lease bike team. And at the end of the day, Mads Pedersen shines the brightest in green. Stage winner, stage 15, Vuelta España.